How to Reprogram Your Brain for Success, Joe Dispenza. The Prison You Can't See. Julian Reyes sat frozen in front of his laptop, staring at a blank screen. For the third time that week, he'd tried to launch a new ad campaign for his struggling online fitness brand, and for the third time he quit halfway through. Not because he didn't have the skills, not because he lacked ideas, but because something inside him whispered, "What if it fails again? What if I fail again?" He rubbed his temples and sighed. It had been 14 months since his business peaked, then slowly collapsed. Sales dried up, confidence vanished, his bank account shrank, and worst of all, his mind turned against him. Julian had fallen into the invisible prison so many entrepreneurs know all too well, self-sabotage. That night, by pure accident or perhaps destiny, he stumbled across a video by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Your brain is not hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of your life. You can change. You can rewire it. Julian leaned in. To change is to think greater than your environment, greater than your emotions, greater than the habits of the past. It hit him like lightning. He didn't need a new ad. He needed a new mind. The neurochemistry of failure. Julian began devouring everything he could about how the brain works, and what he learned was simple and terrifying. Every thought you think produces a chemical. That chemical creates a feeling. That feeling drives behavior. That behavior leads to results. And those results reinforce the original thought. Julian had been unconsciously running the same internal program for years. I'm not good enough. I always mess it up. I'm a fraud. And each time he listened, neurons fired, connections strengthened, emotions repeated, identity hardened. He wasn't failing because of the market. He was failing because of the mental software he was running. But now he had a new possibility, neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire his brain by thinking in new ways. Julian made a decision. I will break the loop. Interrupting the program. Dr. Dispenza taught that you can't create a new future if you're living in the emotions of your past. So Julian made a bold commitment. Every morning before looking at his phone, checking stats, or even brushing his teeth, he would sit in stillness. He learned how to meditate, not to escape, but to observe his old self, the version of him that lived in fear, anxiety, pressure. He would close his eyes and ask himself, who have I been being? What stories have I rehearsed that keep me stuck? What thoughts do I need to stop believing? It was painful, raw, emotional. But in that stillness, for the first time, Julian saw clearly. He wasn't a victim of his life. He was the architect of it. And he was building the same house over and over because he was using the same blueprint. That blueprint was his personality, and his personality was creating his personal reality. Becoming nobody. To reprogram his mind, Julian had to let go of the old version of himself. That meant becoming nobody for a little while. No titles, no past, no limitations. He learned that change doesn't happen by just thinking positively. It happens when you disconnect from the known self and connect with the unknown possibilities. Each morning he'd meditate into the void. At first it was strange, boring, uncomfortable. But then, magical. One morning after 21 straight days, something happened. He felt a surge of energy flow through him. No thoughts, just presence. No fear, just power. No Julian the failed entrepreneur. Just a conscious being, aware, alive, infinite. He wept, not out of sadness, but because he tasted freedom. And from that moment, he was no longer living from memory. He was creating from vision, creating a new mind. Now that he could separate from the past, Julian began designing the future. Dr. Dispenza teaches that the body is the unconscious mind. To truly change, we must feel the emotions of our future before it arrives. So Julian created a new identity. Every morning he'd visualize with passion, standing on stage, teaching entrepreneurs how to rebuild themselves, opening emails showing six-figure launches, reading comments from people whose lives he'd changed. But he didn't just see it, he felt it. He felt the joy, the gratitude, the confidence, the calm. He trained his body to emotionally experience success before it arrived. And by doing that, he wasn't waiting for the future to change how he felt. He was changing how he felt to bring about a new future. The energy of success. Julian began noticing changes. He spoke slower, smiled more, laughed deeper. He wasn't chasing success. He was aligned with it. He'd walk into meetings and people listened more. He posted content without anxiety. He started sharing behind the scenes of his personal transformation, and those videos blew up. It wasn't the algorithm. It was energy. Dr. Dispenza teaches that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. Julian was becoming abundance, becoming clarity, becoming love. And the world responded. He was invited to a podcast to talk about mindset, then a webinar, then a speaking gig at a local entrepreneur conference. He hadn't changed his marketing. He changed his vibration. The quantum leap. One night, Julian had a wild thought. What if he launched a mindset training platform for entrepreneurs? Not just another business course, but a transformation experience based on neuroscience, meditation, energy, and identity design. He called it Inner CEO. The old Julian would have doubted himself, would have waited until it was perfect. But the new Julian trusted. He built a waitlist, recorded his first 5 modules, created a challenge called 7 Days to Rewire Your Mind. He taught people to wake up in gratitude, to break thought patterns, to visualize the future with feeling, to move from survival to creation. Within 90 days, 4,000 people joined the challenge. His email list exploded. Testimonials flooded in. One woman said, "I doubled my income just by changing how I think in the morning." Another said, "I feel like I got my power back." Julian smiled. He had become the guide he once needed. The science of becoming. Julian studied brain scans of people who meditated daily. He learned about gamma waves, heart-brain coherence, elevated states of being, and it all confirmed what he now lived daily. Your brain can be rewired, your body can change, your life can shift, but not by accident, by intentional repetition of elevated thoughts and emotions. Every morning, Julian would enter meditation as the old self and emerge as the future self. He'd practice gratitude for things not yet happened. He'd smile at the vision of his future business partners, his dream home, his speaking tour, his non-profit work. And each time he did, he carved a new path in his brain, a new chemistry in his body. He was literally becoming someone new. Mind first, matter second. Dr. Dispenza often says, to create a new personal reality, you must first become aware of your personality. Julian had done that, and now his external world was catching up. He received a partnership offer from a global wellness app. His YouTube channel hit 100K subscribers. He was invited to do a TEDx talk, How to Reprogram the Entrepreneurial Mind. And the most beautiful part? He wasn't addicted to the outcome. He had already felt successful within himself. The results were just a bonus. He was no longer reacting to life. He was creating it, from the inside out. Your brain is waiting. You might be where Julian once was, trapped in thought loops that don't serve you, repeating habits that sabotage you, reacting instead of creating. But here's the truth. Dr. Joe Dispenza would want you to remember. You are not your past. You are not your circumstances. You are not your current emotions. You are the architect of your brain, the author of your identity, the creator of your next reality. But first, you must let go of the old self. Sit in stillness. Observe your thoughts, feel your future, break the loop. It will be uncomfortable, but freedom is on the other side. When you change your thoughts, you change your mind. When you change your mind, you change your brain. When you change your brain, you change your life.